You ever see a councilwoman in a $1,000 Chanel suit, standing ankle-deep in muddy floodwater, absolutely losing her mind on the phone? Because that's what I saw the morning Riverside's municipal building collapsed into a brown soup of storm runoff and paperwork, while Lysandra Blackthorne shrieked like someone just told her Chanel doesn't accept flood damage claims. She's screaming about environmental terrorism, blaming everyone but herself. And I'm standing there on my porch, coffee in hand, recording the whole thing like a scene out of a small-town disaster movie. "You did this on purpose," she screams. You know what? She's not wrong. 3 days before, she'd slapped me with a $25,000 fine for illegal water hoarding and accused me of contaminating the municipal supply. She had no idea what she'd started. She didn't know she was up against someone who spent 15 years unraveling water crimes for the feds, a guy who's destroyed bigger conspiracies than anything she could dream up in a county council meeting. My name's Ashton Caney. I don't look like much, retired early, thought I'd bought a quiet life. But let me back up a sec, because this whole mess started months earlier, with a real estate deal too good to be true and a discovery in the basement that made my investigators' instincts light up like a Christmas tree. It was supposed to be a fresh start. I'd just won a $340,000 settlement from a federal corruption case. 3 EPA careers ended, and I figured maybe I'd buy a place nobody cared about. Riverside County seemed perfect. I found a ranch-style house on Millbrook Ridge, $85,000, cash, no inspection. The seller, Dorothy Kellerman, just wanted out. "Too many memories," she said, hands shaking a little. The house was nothing special, until I got to the basement. There, I found a crack in the concrete, water seeping up. Ice cold, crystal clear, better than anything in a bottle. My first taste told me this was a real-deal artesian spring. And in my world, finding one of those is like discovering oil under your tomato patch. Dorothy played it down, nervous as a cat in a dog park. "Old plumbing. Nothing special. You'll want to seal that up." "Yeah, right." I ran tests. This spring put out 2,000 gallons a day, every single day, rain or shine. Zero contamination, perfect pH, pure as anything I'd ever seen, and I've seen a lot. So why was Dorothy desperate to sell? That answer came knocking fast. Within a week, the neighbors started showing up, Margaret from 2 doors down, holding a mason jar of tap water that looked like someone rinsed engine parts in it. "City says it's safe," she said, but her husband wouldn't even shower in it. It stank of chemicals. And the city? Didn't care. I started testing water up and down the block. Every jar, every tap, more poison than a snake pit. Heavy metals, industrial solvents, stuff that doesn't just show up by accident. Somebody was dosing the whole town's water supply on purpose, but doing it careful, slow. Not enough to kill, just enough to sicken, scare, and force folks to buy premium, bottled water. Guess who was selling that water at $15 a gallon? Lysandra Blackthorne, councilwoman and wife to Dale Blackthorne, owner of Meridian Industrial Services. The same company whose unmarked truck I caught, in the dead of night, pumping chemicals into the reservoir with military precision. Yeah, that happened. I built a case, photos, videos, test results. It's what I do. But as I dug deeper, I realized how far Lysandra's reach went. She controlled every water contract in the county, testing, treatment, distribution. Complaints about dirty tap water? You paid her company to fix it, and when that didn't work, you bought her bottled spring water. Except the spring water was coming from sources she'd forced other landowners to give up through fake environmental lawsuits. See, Clearwater Solutions, her main business, didn't just own the bottled water. They bought up properties with springs, using lawsuits to bankrupt owners, then scooped up the land for pennies. My spring was the one she couldn't touch. It made her nervous, and that made her dangerous. First, she came herself, pulling up in a white Tesla, stepping out like the queen of the county, all icy smiles and official folders. She tried to hand me a preliminary assessment for my spring. Looked real enough, unless you knew environmental law like I did. It was fake, top to bottom. She started hinting at chemical runoff, environmental impacts, told me I might be contaminating the community. Classic projection, the real contaminator blaming the only clean water left. I told her I'd have my attorney look it over. Her smile twitched, just a second. She wasn't used to pushback. The next week, 2 guys showed up in official uniforms, badges, clipboards, all the trappings. Claimed they were there for emergency testing. Problem was, their IDs were fakes. The badge numbers, formatting, wrong. I called the county, verified there was no inspection. I told them to leave. They left fast, but not before I got their faces and plates on camera. Now, it was clear, they'd do anything to get my water, and if intimidation didn't work, they'd escalate. Anonymous complaints poured in, EPA, county code, even the state. All fake. All designed to tie me up and wear me down. But I kept documenting the contamination runs at the reservoir. 12 events, caught on camera, always when the town was asleep. And just as I'm building my case, I get an emergency order in the mail. Big red seals, scary legalese, ordering me to shut down my spring, pending investigation. All a lie. No real agency would touch a case like this without due process. I called my old FBI contact, Victoria Kane, and laid it out. She didn't mince words. Let her hang herself. Document everything. And then, the basement safe. Yeah, every good story's got a twist. While fixing a pressure issue, I found a hidden panel, an old safe, and inside, pure gold. Land deed, 1887, signed and sealed. Not just surface rights, full mineral rights, 2 miles down, every drop of water in the aquifer. Legal, federal, ironclad. And letters, going back decades, showing how every previous owner had been hounded out by harassment and fraud. Geological surveys proving my spring fed the whole municipal system. In black and white. Lysandra wasn't just stealing water. She was stealing my water, selling it to the public, and poisoning it to keep her monopoly. When I finally brought all this to the city council, after Lysandra engineered a kangaroo court to strip my rights and fine me $25,000, the place exploded. She blamed me for the town's water crisis with charts, maps, fake documents, the works. I calmly laid out my own tests, then dropped the deed on the table for everyone to see. One by one, people realized they'd been paying for water that legally belonged to me while she poisoned the source. Did she back down? Not a chance. She rammed through her fine, got her loyalists to vote, and thought she'd won. But the real storm was coming, literally. The weather report showed a tropical storm barreling in, and with it, an opportunity for what I call malicious compliance. Her emergency order demanded I redirect my spring water away from the municipal system, citing contamination. Little did she know, the 1920 blueprints hidden in my safe showed how to open valves that would send the whole spring's output right into the downtown storm drains. During a flood? That's a recipe for disaster. And, as it turns out, truth. I documented everything. Her order, my compliance, the whole process, and copied Victoria at the FBI on every email. When the rain came, I opened those valves and watched as the downtown business district filled up like a bathtub. $47 million in damages. Her own building, Clearwater Solutions HQ, half underwater, records and all. The municipal water treatment plant, contaminated so badly by the mix of floodwater and chemicals that even the EPA had to bring in a hazmat team. The fallout was fast and brutal. Captain Rodriguez from the fire department came to see me, saw my documentation, and immediately understood who was really at fault. The next day, federal investigators swarmed Riverside. Warrants, raids, arrests. Lysandra, Dale, council members, everyone in on it, hauled out in handcuffs, faces all over the news. Victoria Kane, my FBI contact, told me it was one of the most cut-and-dried cases of environmental racketeering she'd ever seen. 6 months later, Riverside was rebuilt better than ever. The victim fund paid out $12 grand per household. Real compensation, for once. Lysandra and Dale got decades in prison. The city council was cleaned out. The spring, my spring, was protected by law and now supplied the whole town with clean water. They even named a foundation after me, using the money seized from the Blackthorns to help families fighting the same kind of battles in other states. Now, every morning, I drink my coffee on that porch, listening to the water flow, still pure, still steady, just like justice when you let it run its course. Marina, the EPA engineer who helped with the investigation, sometimes joins me. The town's new kids visit for school projects, learning what Lysandra never did. Water belongs to everyone, and greed always comes with a price. So here's my question for you. If someone tried to steal your water, your rights, and your peace of mind, would you fight back or fold? You know what I did. But justice doesn't flow on its own. Sometimes, you've got to open the valves and let the truth flood every crooked corner. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Where do you stand on this kind of fight? And if you've ever tangled with greedy officials, I want to hear your story. Justice, like water, always finds its level.